Hello to the people of Trinity Cathedral and beyond. This is BJ Owens. It is the 1st of May. Happy Easter once again to each and every one of you. This at Trinity, this would normally be our annual meeting weekend for all the reasons you might imagine. We're not gathering as an annual meeting. We'll postpone our leader elections till late summer, early fall, but we will have an annual review where you can see a video. You get reports from ministry leaders as well as a printed annual report that's available. All that's on our weekly e-news or on our website. I also want to mention that we will be creating masks. This is not one that we've created. This is one that I already have. Boy, isn't this the new world? If you'd like to be a part of that, either as someone who helps to create masks or if you are in need of masks, you can find information on our website and on the weekly e-news as we begin that work together. Today I'm thinking about shepherds. I'm getting ready for our service this Sunday, Shepherd Sunday, where the readings are very much about that wonderful image of Jesus, the Good Shepherd. Jesus, whose voice we hear guiding us to places of safety and love, places where we are made whole. I'm thinking about ways where we hear those voices, a voice that reminds us that we are safe and that we are loved. And no matter what's going on in the world, God is with us and holding on to us. I thought of it this morning, Thursday morning, as I prepared for the Eucharist. We have to record a few days earlier to give time to edit. And as I was standing over the paten and chalice, I'll tell you a little bit in a minute about my own personal paten and chalice. I sang the Sursum Corda, and I said, "The Lord be with you." And then I gave a little bit of a pause because the call and response, you're not with me and I'm not with you in the church. I wanted to give a little space so that you at home can sing, "And also with you." Instead of that silence, I heard from the other room, my daughter, who was keeping the television on mute to allow me for this recording, couldn't help herself but to sing along. Well, she hummed. She went, and I went, "Lift up your hearts." And she hummed, "We lift them to the Lord." And I realized that she spent so many Sundays as a young child in church listening to the sung Sursum Corda, to the sung Eucharist, that it became a voice, and it wasn't necessarily my voice, though oftentimes it was. It became a voice that spoke something meaningful to her. Sometimes that meaning is without words. That's why I think I love it being a hummed tune. Many times the voices of the shepherd come through these wonderful gifts that we have in worship and liturgy. I heard of someone this week who, when I asked about where have you heard the voice of the shepherd, she talked about growing up with the 1940 hymnal, all those wonderful old hymns, some of which made it into the 1982 hymnal, some of which didn't. She even had a lot of the hymn numbers memorized, but there's such wonderful teaching and wonderful poetry in those hymns that when you grow up with them, they stay with you. And as she described, even in times of when the world we're going through all the tumult, when we're in the midst of storms, those words that we grow up with in beautiful hymns stay with us. So that's a place where we hear the voice of a shepherd. And I asked this question in the Dean's Bible study this Wednesday, and I also offered my own answer, which is where have we heard those voices of the shepherd? And I thought, because this person has been on my mind, my friend Robert, who was for me at a really important age for me, a shepherd, a voice. And when I heard that voice, I was hearing Jesus speak to me. And I knew Robert from the time, really, when I first became a part of the Episcopal Church when I was 14. Robert, I would say, helped lead the youth group. I think he very much anchored it at the time. And this was back before we had staff youth ministers at the church where I was. It was he and a crew of faithful adults were volunteers were leading it. Robert was not a priest. Many of the best shepherds are not clergy. A helpful thing to remember. And Robert taught me about what it means to live creatively and faithfully in a way that I hadn't seen before. And I know that he did it with a profound sense of love for me and for all the other teenagers and friends who were a part of this. Many of us continue to be closely in touch with one another. Some of my closest friends in life are not just people who are teenagers with me, but some of these adults alongside Robert and others. I say some of these adults. We're all adults now. I'm far older than any of these adults were back then, but that's beside the point. When I was ordained, Robert and a number of these other good friends gave this to me as a gift. And this is a beautiful terracotta paten and chalice, which is a great treasure to me. And I got to remember it today when I celebrated from the Eucharist from home. This is a very special thing and special moment for me, because after a long time of dealing and struggling with cancer, Robert died last night. And that's been certainly in my mind and on my heart for a number of days as I learned that he went into hospice. Thinking about him while I'm thinking about the Good Shepherd, I find myself incredibly grateful to him and to all those people in my life who have taught me about Jesus. And many people have taught different things, but what I needed to hear from each of them in order to trust and know that this was the voice of Christ speaking through them was the resonance of the voice of the shepherd. And I think we know it when we hear it. It's probably not something that we can sit down and write down and say, I know exactly what it sounds like, but we know it when it's there. Or sometimes we have to look back over our shoulders, as I can now, and look back at a moment or a person in our lives and say that person really was the Good Shepherd incarnate. This person really carried the love and the message of Christ. And I'm a richer person. I have a richer life and a deeper faith because of it. And so I give thanks for Robert. My heart is breaking, and it's very hard to not be near my friends and all those who are who I love and who I miss. But I realize that's the story of our lives right now. We're all dealing with this. So many people have a story, whether it's someone who is sick or suffering or even died from coronavirus or anything, because life goes on and we still have all the other things that hurt in our lives too. But suddenly we can't be together. We can't travel. We can't mourn together. And that's hard. And maybe the only thing I can offer is to say, it's hard, and I'm feeling it right now. And if you're feeling it, I'm with you. But know that the Good Shepherd is there, that Jesus is with us and still speaking with a voice of love. And sometimes we can hold on to things that remind us of the love that those people have for us and the love that we have for them. Those treasures that speak of a deeper treasure than anything we can hold. Sometimes that love is expressed in things that we create in order to care for one another, keep one another safe. There are a lot of ways where the voice of the shepherd comes through our own voices, through our own words, and through our own actions. Please know that you are in my prayers. Please hold me in your prayers. Continue to be a voice of Christ in the world, but above all, continue to listen and treasure those moments when you hear the voice of the Good Shepherd calling you, drawing you home, drawing you to a place where you are loved and made whole. Blessings to each of you.